hit somebody over the head with a tire iron. I was looking at doing like 6 months in juvie. They were like going to give me, a punishment. I remember coming back home and my folks thought it was all over because they've never tested the limit for that. That was horrible.
This is the I Am a Comeback podcast, the Comeback Chronicles edition, a place where winners go to win, where you will never quit and you are relentless in the pursuit of having it all. Not just having it all, but being free. Because why? Comebacks never give up. The greatest gift, the greatest power you possess, the ability to choose. You choose to win or you choose to lose. At the end of the day, winners never quit and quitters never win. On today's episode of the I Am a Comeback podcast, the Comeback Chronicles, we've got my man, Austin Hancock here. So listen, nice to meet you in person.
You too, man. I appreciate it.
We've been, my wife as well, she's like, who we having on here? I said, man, I got a guy down here in San Diego.
Yeah.
But we hooked up through Andy Elliott. It was summertime for me.
Because I was like 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah.
It was a while back. And Andy sent me some pictures. You guys are your shirt off. You guys are flexing. He's like, you're gonna love this guy right here. You guys are gonna be buddies. Like, oh, that's cool. But you reached out and we just started talking about business and about your coaching business and all that stuff. So we'll get into that as well. But there's a line that you said in one of your videos, or maybe it was one of your posts that you put out that I loved, and I saved it for this podcast, which is, I'll probably butcher it, I'll always know what a paid off Tahoe and a paid off house, I think, in Oklahoma feels like.
Yeah. You can always go back if you had to, like worst case, right?
That's what it was about, right? Because I think you put a video, I think there was a great content, and I shared it with you as well, about picking up and leaving. It is Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally.
Yeah, so you left Oklahoma and came to San Diego.
Yep.
And leaving it behind, and people were probably judging you or...
Why are you doing that, man? It's California, right?
Who wants to go to California? Yeah. This was not too long ago.
People poo-poo on California, 20 years ago to be like, what's up? That's awesome.
So I really loved that because there is no going back, but there's also never quitting and continuing to come back from whatever it is that you've either had, through drugs. I'm not saying you, but drugs, alcohol, relationships, financial ruin. And there's a comeback story inside of all of us. And the purpose on this podcast is just to let you kind of have a platform. So what I want to do is, man, share a little bit with my audience about that move and what it felt like to let go of the mindset and limitations of people that you loved, the familiarity of Oklahoma, which is I've never been to. I assume it's probably not that awesome, much like Wisconsin.
There's just not a lot of things going on. Good people, but it is what it is.
Talk to me about that, man, and what inspired that?
Self-development and growth. So when you go down that path, you just kind of get addicted to it, right? I think we could all agree on that. And so what happens is, like, we'll go into my whole story, but, we had built multiple of our own homes. I built a freaking 3,500 square foot house. I got brand new cars when I was like 30 years old and had 2 babies and moved into a gated neighborhood with a pool. And I remember driving to that house, and I was doing well, like 30 years old, man. I'm like, this is it, in Oklahoma, right? Top dog, like my age for, and I'd always done decent, right? When I come back from Iraq, I bought a house, so I'm not an idiot with money, and I would work hard and had fun, whatnot. But I remember driving in that neighborhood and looking around at the houses that were in there, and some of the people were in their 60s, and this is kind of their forever home in retirement. And one of my friends I was duck hunting with, he goes, is that your forever home, bro? Like, you built it, because it's a custom. I mean, I can make my own plans. I was a builder at the time. I mean, full whatever I chose, I made it.
Sure.
As long as it was within budget, right? And he's like, is this your forever home? And I just kind of scared me. That turned me, like, it was the opposite feeling that I think he thought I was going to get. And I like, bro, forever home? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm 30 years old, man. And I started to think about it, and I really got a little bit of fear that, like, this could be as hard as people push it. This could be it. Like, you could, settle down. You got the nice cars every other year. Like I said, you got either the paid off Tahoe, the Escalade, the F-250, F-150. You rotate them every 2 years as a freaking construction business owner. And you got the house that you move into, every 5 years or whatnot. Yep. And so that was my progression. And so moving out here, I guess my wife and I had done it so many times, building our own homes and doing our things and growing and traveling. It was scary. I'm not going to say it wasn't scary, but it's like anything else that's scary. We knew it would be worth it, right? And so we built our last home in 2021, full custom everything, gym in the basement, whole 9 yards. I designed the plans from scratch, the lot, everything. And and people probably thought I would have lived there forever, dude. I lived there for two years-ish, and we get itchy, we get bored, and I was like, you want to move somewhere else that's going to make a difference? Because moving into another 5,000 plus square foot house in Oklahoma wasn't going to change my life as much as I wanted to. And it wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go. Like, I had a bigger vision.
Why was it so important for you to change your life?
I have bigger aspirations for myself, and I just want to live a different lifestyle than most people probably want to live. I think I'm more scared of not doing the things when it becomes the end of my life than I am of actually doing something and failing.
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Where'd that come from?
So at an early age, her and I were discussing, I was in the Marine Corps. So I joined the Marine Corps at like 18 years old. I guess I got a pretty good glimpse of what it's like to like be fearless and to have the potential life loss of yourself and your friends. And so it gave me a lot of perspective of one, how short life can be. So how fast you need to move at making your dreams come possible,
It's awesome, man. The move though, you were a house builder.
Yeah,
There.
before. Back, yeah. Well, I became a real estate investor. We can get into the whole
Yeah,
thing.
so we're gonna get into it. But like you're not even only just a real estate investor anymore. You're also like a coach now.
It transcended, right? It like kept going.
You're doing fitness. You're doing all these different things all over the place. Following you on Instagram, you just lift weights with your shirt off, your sunglasses on, right? Like
Clickbait, dude.
just put it out there, and all the dudes are looking at it because I want to look like that guy, right? Like, he looks good. I got a bald head. I'm just like him.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into like the whole purpose of the comeback. I'm a comeback. What we're creating right now is we're trying to build the #1 life, business, and high performance coaching company on the planet.
I love it.
Right? I know you spent some time with me on the phone.
You've been a ton of help too. I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, man. Of course, I'd love to help any way I can. The reason I say that though is because I believe our greatest struggles are our greatest strengths. Okay, and you can turn any negative into a positive, and as long as you're not dead, you have air in your lungs. What beats in your heart is a champion, and if you'll just freaking grab that part, you can have whatever you want. So
100%.
that's why we have you on here. And I don't even know the ins and outs, but I know that you can't make it through Iraq and out here and be who you are without facing some adversity.
100%, absolutely.
So share with me like some stuff.
Sure, dude. Okay, so I grew up pretty conservative, right? My folks are Midwestern, people, Oklahoma people, good Christian values. I grew up. Both my parents have never been divorced. Neither ones of my grandparents on either side. So I have really good examples growing up, right? I come up from a good home.
Yeah.
And a lot of entrepreneurs in my father's side. So I saw what business was like. I saw what work had to be put in. You go on Sunday, you answer the call at a dinner table if you have to, those kind of things. You see the fights, you see mom doing the books, you see all the stuff. And so I grew up with that, but I didn't grow up, needing for anything. I rode my bike around, I hung with my friends, I did dirt jumps, I did the fun shit, man. I was like, living the life as a suburb kid in Oklahoma. So at about 17 years old, I decided to challenge all of the thought process that my parents had and really put them through the ringer. And so before graduating high school at 17 years old, I had 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors for basically drinking and partying. And I'd gotten in a fight at a party, and I had hit somebody over the head with a tire iron and busted some windows and caused a lot of mayhem. And about this time in my life, I was really testing the limits of fighting and drinking and going off the rails, And so just full of piss and vinegar, to be honest. Just like a frustrated kid, all jacked up, ready to go. Probably got some testosterone from puberty,
Yeah.
Probably, not probably, for sure.
Challenging the beliefs that I've been raised on, So, and that was a pivotal moment in my life. I look back, I didn't think of it that much at the time. But I was a big time. I was looking at doing like 6 months in juvie. They were like going to give me, a punishment for what I was doing, what I'd done in this deal. And I just remember being like, coming back home, and my folks thought it was all over because they've never tested the limits of that. That was horrible. They have other family members that had gone to prison for things that were extended family members, and so they just thought that was over. But I had a guy, and it was my girlfriend's dad at the time, and he's kind of a good old boy, good old country guy, and he goes, "You know what? You're not a bad kid. You just made dumbass mistakes." Yeah. And I was like, I really put things into perspective because somebody actually believed in me. He's like, you're not a bad guy. Because at that time, where I was coming from, the church that my folks went to, everybody's like, we need to just tighten the reins. We need to get closer. We need to smother it,
He's going down the wrong
He's going down the wrong
path.
path. We got to get him a good Christian girl at the Christian college, and rein him down. And I'm just fighting the opposite. Yeah. I'm getting tattooed at 17, didn't stop, and just challenging all of it. And at the time, I was working with a guy that doing construction, working for my dad in the summer. And he's like, you should join the Marine Corps. And I was like, I always wanted to be in the military. Always. I always tell people that. I always wanted to be. I was the guy who played G.I. Joe. I painted my face. I did paintball. You name it. I was wanted to be like Army Ranger, Marine, something badass, dude. I was like, I watched all the Arnold movies, the Rambo movies. I was all in commando, And this was going to mess up that opportunity. Totally toast it. Go in the opposite direction of really where I wanted to go, just because of one stupid mistake, alcohol influenced, which is probably, you do a great thing with what you guys do.
Thank you.
So, And I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna freaking do it. I'm gonna join the Marines. I didn't think about the Marines at the time, but he was like, yeah, dude, you should join the Marines. His dad was a Marine, his brother. He couldn't join the Marines because he had a busted jaw, he had a metal plate from bull riding. So like that's the kind of guys I'm hanging with, you know? And he's like, you should go talk to the recruiter. And this is in the middle of the pending trials, right? So I go talk to the recruiter. Recruiter's actually like, this is 2006, by the way, so the war in Iraq is full bore.
Yep.
Like George W. Bush is about to do the surge. There's a lot going on. They're trying to pump as many bodies overseas as they can to really start changing the theater. And I was like, and so they're wavering people. I know you're in the military. They're just writing waivers for certain things. And so my recruiter's like, sweet, we can figure this out. And so he gets with my attorney and he goes to the judge a couple times and then they figure it out. It's like, sweet, Hancock, you join the Marine Corps. We'll expunge everything that goes on instead of going to the Juvenile Delinquent Center. Marine Corps boot camp's probably just as good, if not better. And you're gonna go fight for the country. And I was like, awesome, this is it, bro. I'm in. So that same energy, which is funny what you said a second ago, that same energy that I had in the streets, I'll call it, like high school dumbass kid, was actually perfect and great in the Marine Corps infantry environment, right? It's like, I found my home. And so another thing about moving to California, like, I tell people, like, this is where I was recreated. Like, at 18 years old, I'm going to Marine Corps boot camp, and like, then I spent time out in Pendleton, and I'm like, this is my people. This is my home. This is like where I feel more myself. Like, Southern California tattoos, the car scene, like, I grew up watching Jesse James, motorcycles, you know, all of it, right? And so I got to come see it for the first time as an Oklahoma small town kid, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. This is me, This SoCal is the thing. And so got that expunged essentially, and then went to Iraq in 2007 and 2008.
Jeez.
So after Iraq, what happened?
So I got back from Iraq in 2008ish, and then I did the rest of my time. Got out of the Marine Corps in 2010, and then started just working for my dad again.
How'd that feel? How'd that
You
feel?
ever heard the saying, like, and you see it a lot with veterans and a lot of guys that were like maybe good or good at sports, or they have an identity crisis. And so a lot of veterans have this, and I've spoken on a lot of veteran podcasts because of it, is like, you'll never be as good as you once were. Like the story that's passed of like, I was this, I was that, I was an officer, I was in charge of all these things, I did all this stuff. And then they run a skid steer, like what I did. Like you get an equipment operator and now you're just like, you know, an hourly guy. And so even though I was working for my dad, I got really disgruntled. I got really upset because I was doing a lot of cool shit in the Marine Corps, right? I mean, I did personal security for VIPs. I met Senator McCain in the combat zone. I have photos with me and him. Like, and I'm 19 years old with a machine gun. Like, then I come home to running a skid steer in the middle of the nowhere, and I just like got really mad. Like I would just sit there and stew. And it was because it was like, it was an item. I use the skid steer as an example. And for y'all that don't know, a skid steer is basically a tractor, a dirt moving tractor. And so I would just move the dirt from here and fill in the hole, or I'd move it to here, or I'd grade it out. So it's mundane, but it has to be done. And so all day I'm just doing here to here and here to here. And so I'm like, this is my life. Like hours are going by, time's going by, life is going by, and you know, I just feel behind. Maybe it's because, as you know, being in the military, it's a lot more of a fast-paced lifestyle.
I was addicted to it.
You get addicted to it.
Yep.
Yeah, and so funny enough, I was so addicted to it. I went down up north to Kansas, and I went to Sankey's Rodeo School to try to ride bulls because I was like, I needed some more adrenaline. This is nothing. Otherwise, I'm just going to get in more bar fights, cause more problems, and it's going to go right back to where it was before I joined the Marine Corps. And that's kind of where I was headed.
This time you can't get out. This time.
Yeah, this time it's going to be it, right? Now it's going to be the Marine that did this guy thing, and then it's over, bro. And so when I was kind of going down that route and hanging out with that same thing, doing the same wrong things, and fortunate I met my wife. You know, I kind of met my wife at that moment, and then some mentors of mine that were at the gym, you know, working out. Older dudes, about 10 years older than me, were like, dude, you should just start your own business. I know you have all the abilities. You should start building houses. You grew up in construction. You know everything from trim to dirt work to welding. And I was like, so I was like, what if, you know? And they basically like, well, just do it, just start. And so I did. I went to my dad, who I worked for, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna start building houses. And so he's like, okay. Probably liked seeing the inspiration. You know, my dad's not one of those guys that gave me he's like, you know, you're going to move up in the company and you're going to do all this stuff. He's like, you're hourly, you don't ask for a raise, shut the fuck up type thing. So he was like, okay, then do it. And so I did it, built a house. I made 45 grand on my first house that I'd made, and that was more money than I was making an entire year working for him. And so I kind of conceptualized what real estate can do and started like leaning into it more and more. And I was able to do that, fortunate working for family, I was able to build the house like after work or between lunch or checking on jobs for him. And so
you were working a full-time job, building a house, and then selling that house.
Yep, and sell that house.
Got
so just ground up. Yep, I made $45K after the 9 months of building it.
Okay. and then addicted to the 45,000.
I was like, this is crazy.
Parlayed that into, dude, I'm rich.
Doing it again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
How much is the world?
I'm like 28 years, 29 years old. You know, I was like, that's insane.
Everybody gets steak dinner tonight.
Yeah.
I got this.
I was smart enough and savvy enough in construction that I knew that I had to keep rolling it because in order to get any type of loan and continue the business, you know, you had to have either land or liquidity.
Sure.
And so, you know, I had good mentors in that space. So, and I've always been good with money. Like, I didn't just blow it on dumb stuff a lot of times, you know.
So talk about the roll up from then, first house to where you're at. Have you built multiple houses?
I actually built houses, started building houses at that point, and then I did that for the next 7+ years. And so I really grew that company and that business. I would do high-end homes. I got all the way up to doing high-end custom homes for clients. You know, and in Oklahoma, we're doing $1 million, $2 million houses, which are 5,000 and 6,000 square foot homes for
Big old houses.
CEOs, doctors, you know, you name it, kind of the budget, whatever it is. I partnered on like Parade Homes and Street of Dreams homes, like high-end magazine stuff. And it was fun. I loved the creative side of it, but what's really hard about custom home building like that is that it's an emotional experience for the client. Like it's usually their largest asset, their most emotional experience, and it's not a transaction, right? And so I was like, how do I get some freaking freedom? How do I make the same money, if not more, and get some freedom? And so while growing the company, while doing all that, I have 2 kids, I'm married, you know, and going through that whole thing.
So the wife you have now that I see in the videos always been your...
Yeah, we've been married 11 years, been together 15 years.
She's been
That's
like
amazing.
the backbone of the success?
Yeah. So at that about 23 when I met her is when so I got out at 21 and I met her at 23, and so that was kind of my gap of asshattery that I was running back down, and then I met her and I just turned it all off essentially. Like, I mean, we still did the stupid things like going to the bar and stuff, but it wasn't the same as what I was doing before.
You still drink today?
Not as often as I did before. Occasionally, it's not like I wouldn't say I'm like sober guy. No,
Right. I mean,
but at the same time, I think that's a really deep conversation because I know that alcohol itself is a horrible vice and it definitely dilutes, I think, the sharpness of your abilities. But at the same time, I think that there's sometimes that, you know, it could be maybe used as a tool. I don't know. We could go on a whole podcast with that one.
Yeah, we could talk about that. And just so you know, my take on it, it's not about alcohol. I don't care about the drinking. Like if you want to drink or not even you, any of my clients. Like literally we've had, like, I went to the world, I said, you're not weak, you're not diseased, you're not powerless, and you're going to pay me.
Yeah.
And I created a niche that's made $30 million,
Hell yeah.
right? Which is pretty crazy. But my motto's never been about the alcohol. It's always been about winning. It's always about winning your life. It's always about coming back and never quitting. So I get guys to actually not control their drinking, but to control this, and to pick and choose the pockets of life where alcohol fits in. So I fully believe that.
That's what
Right?
you
That's
just
what I'm
articulated
saying,
it very
right?
well. Yeah.
So if it fits in a meeting, or it fits, we'll just use your video I saw you up in Mammoth,
Yeah.
skiing, and you and your wife had a glass of wine in a hot tub, like a big deal.
Exactly.
Because you're benefiting your life, right?
Yep.
For me, I choose not to drink only because I want to go global.
Sure.
I don't want to slow down. I also know that there's a piece of me that when I do drink, if I'm having a bad day, I will get angry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So right there, I'm like, I'm going to try to have good days. Anyways, I don't want to make this about me or about alcohol. I want to make it about you. I want to speak to the winner inside of you, right? You're making this, I don't know how much money you made or house you sold, but I know that you're on this journey because you want to help people.
100%.
What does that look like? We'll take the next 10 minutes talking about your future. Like,
Sure.
This is a new journey. This is just
yeah.
what's next. And eventually, I know you're hungry, and you said, I think on the call, like, I don't lose, so I'm going to get this thing.
I'll figure it out.
You know, you're going to figure it out. And I know I don't know how big you are now, but I know you've been at it now for about 5-6 months since I talked to you.
Yeah, probably been out of a total, maybe a little year and a half. But
What made you say, okay, I'm done? Not done, but I'm actually adding, in addition to this, I'm going to create a whole coaching company, which is completely different than what you're doing.
Sure. So the gap from builder to being a coach was that my wife and I actually started to buy into our own education. And so that was really it. And so, I mean, I started reading books like, you know, Jocko Willink's book on like extreme ownership.
Yeah.
I started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I started reading 10X. I started reading all these books. And I was like, man, I learned how to be a builder. I was making great money at a young age, but I was working my butt off, right? I mean, it was stressful, very, very stressful. Not what I wanted. And I felt like I was losing a piece of me while I was doing that. And let me explain, like, making money and trading all that, I still had this illusion I think most people run with if they go work for somebody else or they have a job or something, that I had to be a different person in order to sell the product and be that, right? To be a builder in Oklahoma doesn't typically look like I look today.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Sure.
so you're not skating and surfing and doing your thing. In Oklahoma, a lot of times, just the box that you're in is you're more conservative, you're a builder, cowboyish, you know what I'm saying? So, and I built this story to myself. So I struggled with that. But that also led me to my wife and I investing like $52,000 into a 2-year real estate education program so that we could learn financial freedom, bro.
You did not look like you do right now.
That's it. I was like wearing a suit.
Yeah, you look like a suit guy. I'm like, I don't know that guy. You had all the tattoos, I would assume.
I had sleeves, so I came out of the Marine Corps with sleeves and everything. Yeah, I had a sleeve at 19. Yeah.
But you looked, I'm like, that's not the same. It's
No,
the same
no,
dude, but
same, but it
it's
ain't the
not
same guy.
the same dude, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So what are you coaching?
So, it started out originally, right out of that, people were like, dude, how did you make so much money in real estate? How did you go from being a builder? Like, people thought I was crazy, stopped building, because most people's dream is just even to get to that point. And I was like, I started doing real estate investing, started buying property, flipping property, wholesaling property, you name it, because I was educating myself. And so people started asking me how to do it, so I started formulating a course series and an education and a calls to just do that. And I really was intrigued about the online space and becoming a coach, because I was like, it correlates with my main objective. My main objective is just freedom of movement and being free from time and being restrained into one location geographically. Sure. And so real estate investing, that's why I got into real estate investing. It's because you can own property wherever you want and you can still get mailbox money. You can flip something or connect with somebody all over the United States. So it correlates very well. And so that's what I did. I started with real estate and I still help people with real estate today. But what has happened is over the period of time.
You don't build anymore?
I don't build anymore. No, I built my last house in 2021.
Done with that.
Yep. Real estate investing all the way through. Yep.
So one of the conversations we had when we first started talking was you were helping that type of a person, but you really wanted to help with like fitness and mindset.
Yeah, I tried to do, I love the fitness and I love the mindset because it all goes back to me, right? The guys at the gym, bro.
Inside of it is like, why, I know why it's important to me and I know why it's important to her. I like to hear why it's important to you. I think deep inside of that is why you really want to be successful, because it's part of what made you successful. So it's kind of like a two-part question. Why do you want to be successful, right? And why do you want to coach and teach people?
Why do I want to be successful?
And this is a deep question, because whatever your
It is a deep question.
First thing you're going to say is probably going to be a lie. not real lie, but it goes deep.
No, and that's what I'm trying not to bring. I don't want to bring a lie. I want to bring like the truth gut thing. And like, I think it depends on how we're measuring success, because like some would say that I achieved the financial success a long time ago.
Money.
But we're talking about my version of success.
I'm talking about what lights you up inside. I don't care about money. I can make money shining shoes.
Exactly.
I make millions of dollars.
Exactly.
It's not a big deal.
What lights me up inside?
Because your demeanor is changing right now. This is the real. This is the real.
Yeah. What lights me up inside, bro, is adventure. Is truly living life. Like maybe that's what drew me to the military, right? Like seeing the world, doing things, and then being able to couple that with helping other people achieve the same thing or define their own version of success is honestly the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I've been trying to do that probably since a young age. Trying to, dude, come on, join the Marine Corps with me. Yeah, dude, start your business. I just did it. It's crazy. Get into the gym. Come on, bro. I go at 5. You want to go? Like, I feel like I've been doing that my entire life, and built like a little posse or crew that would follow me and do the things. And now having an opportunity to where it can really grow and you could spread your message and help other people in the right direction. There's nothing like it, right?
I'm going to come back to the success question though, because deeper than that, it's one thing about adventure. If you go lower and lower and lower, something when you were a kid that made you go to the military or why you were acting out, there's some piece inside of it. So you know what? My life is destined for more. I'm destined for greatness. I deserve more. I'm going to become more. So for me, I'll share this with you, was because I didn't want to have my dad. I didn't want to be my dad. I didn't want to have my dad's life. I grew up in a trailer park. Mom wanted an abortion. Dad didn't really care about me, right? And it's my dad died a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We didn't have a great relationship, but at the end of the day, he's my dad. But when I asked that, so like this might help you as you're trying to actually become greater. To go on this journey you want, to coach and to help people, to lead people, there's a piece of you that you got to get so down to the truth of why you want everything. Like, why do you truly want this? So I went all the way down to the place. I'm like, dude, I was abused and hurt, and I was never loved, and I just didn't want to be this person. Because when I looked at my dad, he was a monster. And I say that with love, and I've got good with it since he died, but like, I don't want to be a loser.
Yeah, right.
And I don't want to be a loser because my dad was he wasn't doing the right things that I saw. And recently here, I noticed that I'm not my dad. We live about 3 neighborhoods down, right down the ocean over here, Monarch Bay. and I'm looking around at my wife, beautiful wife, and my kids, my house, and I'm having a moment, the sky's beautiful, and I'm like, huh, I'm not my dad.
That's right. You didn't end up there.
Yeah, I got there, but I'm looking around and I'm like, well, why do I still want more? And I'll tell you my new reason. So I did the same thing I just asked you. I went down levels of this. Why do I want $100 million? Like 3 years from now, Andy and I were talking about this yesterday. I'm going to be running with him. We're going to be the largest coaching company on the planet. I'm going to hook up with him. Is what is. He's my guy. I know where I'm going with what I want to do.
Hell yeah.
But I asked myself, why do I want to do that? Because I got plenty of money. I got plenty of success. Like, kind of coast right now.
Yeah. I
want a world where nobody can tell my wife no.
Absolutely.
So I went down, 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 right?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't afford right this second to take everyone on my team, all 20 of us, first class on Emirates Airlines, right? Like
right.
To Dubai and have a $3 million weekend, right? It doesn't make sense to do it that way. So if I have to tell myself, no, I'm willing to go all the way deep. Why do you want to do that?
Dude, that's a great question. And as you work through what you just said, I feel like it helped me uncover what mine is. And I've said it a couple times on social media, but not been direct with, like, that's the point. But I look back at school and even the Marine Corps getting out, and then even me wanting for more. And truthfully, it's just, I just don't like being told what to do. And I don't want somebody else to be able to control my destiny. And so that's what started it, and that's probably what continues to grow it, because every time you get to a new level, there's always some other level, like you just described, that you can't, or someone will say this or someone will say that you feel, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So, and maybe that's just as easy as it gets. It's just, I don't want somebody else to tell me that I can't do that.
It's so simple.
But it is something that's glossed over. You feel like it's a big answer, 100%. But the reality is, it's just like, I just don't like being told what to do. I mean, that's what it is.
It's whatever lit the fire inside you when you were a kid.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was simple. You didn't like when your parents told you no.
100%. When it wasn't even my parents as much as it was society, and then and the story that I built. True. So, like, a lot of people, right? Everybody has their own story, and so we continue to tell our story and reassure our position in life, or we turn the page and we create our own story. And so, when I was the builder and the entrepreneur, in my mind, coming out of the Marine Corps, I had to be a different person, because, as you know, being somebody in the military, if you've been around Marines especially, it's a different world. And when you get to the civilian world, I felt like I had to be Mr. Entrepreneur. There wasn't very many blasted, tattooed, successful, jacked guys. I would be the only one at the entrepreneur event, sitting at a table with people that sold 8, 9-figure businesses when I would get into groups. And I like being that outsider. Right? I like being different, but at the same time, there's a human nature that wants to also not be excluded from the community. Yeah. And so it's a tough dynamic, and so you have to decide, and I think you have to mature through it, which I have, but for a while I didn't, on what you really want and what's more important to you. And I'll tell you this, and you know, sitting next to your wife, it's much easier with the family and a wife that supports you in that same aspect.
100%.
100%.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her.
Yeah,
I would just be teaching dudes how to get sober. As a matter of fact, prior to meeting her, like, that's all I would have done. Like, hey, just get sober. I'm going to be a good dad. I was going to mail it in. I was like, screw this. And then she come knocking on my door about 8 years ago, and then the whole I'm a Comeback like blew up. I'll put it in perspective. I launched I'm a Comeback in January of 2018. So I was making like, I had a $50,000 a month recurring revenue based business on how to sell cars, 30 cars in 30 days. Okay. Because my story, another time we'll talk about.
Got you.
I shut that off January 1st. I call all my clients. I'm like, yo,
I'm done.
I'm done with this. I literally shut that money off. Dumbest thing I ever did. One of the dumbest things. I've done a lot of dumb things.
Same.
That's one of the dumbest things I've done. And I started I'm a Comeback. I got a t-shirt with the wrong logo on it, a notebook, and I'm gonna go gun ho. I made $3,000. I made 3 sales at $12,000 or whatever it was, but I only collected like $3,000. That was January. Fast forward to September of 2018, I only did $12,000. But I take that back. I did $3,000. I'm messing up my story. $3,000 in January, $12,000 in September. Okay. Shut down 47. That you don't make a whole lot of money in between there, right?
No.
And I'm learning to sell, I'm learning to market, I'm learning to coach, I'm learning to lead, I'm doing all these things. I meet her. We start talking September 9th. It was the day. And September 14th is my son's birthday. We just started talking. October, made $36,000.
Damn, there you go.
Okay. Next month, 72, I believe, 91. Stayed at 91. Hired Garrett as my coach. Fast forward 12 calendar months from meeting my wife. I went from making $12,000 to $500,000. Two things happened in my life: her and a coach.
Massive difference.
And I realized this is the life for me.
Yep.
Right? I can help as many people get what they want if I'm willing to go after what I want, and also my life started expanding.
Exactly.
When we went on to help a ton of people. I share this with you because as I asked that question kind of in real time, if you truly want to help all these people like you do, you need to dig down to the darkest, most vulnerable truths of you and face those things, because that's what's going to make you stand out. There's a bunch of dudes that I follow. I don't really follow them, but I see them online with tattoos and shaved heads now. They're out there, right?
There are a lot of people out there.
Now that you look, they're out
For
there.
sure. For
If
sure.
you want to be different, you be real.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
The realest real. Like,
Raw.
Rawest raw.
Yeah.
That's what makes me me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I don't think it's, but I think that, I don't think I struggle with being real in reality. Like, it's super easy to be real, especially no matter if it's on camera, if it's in person without a camera. And I think that's why a lot of people like the authenticity when they do come out and hang out with me.
I agree, man. You got a good little thing going. I'm a fan, you know. I don't spend a ton of time focused on social media, but I jump on there. Oh, there's Austin. I'll check out what he's doing.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate
It's
it.
pretty cool. So you got any questions you want to ask today?
No, I want to just kind of touch base just to go through. So you, Oklahoma kid,
Yep.
you grew up and you didn't want to conform.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of grew up in that beautiful conservative. You didn't want to conform. Then you head off into the military and then you go serve in a war. Thank you for your service. I actually hate it when people say that to me, so I don't even know why I said that to you.
No, I said vice versa. Right to you.
Yeah. But so then you go into the Marines. You get addicted to the lifestyle. You probably got addicted to war, because I know exactly what that feels like. And people say that's fucking crazy, but it's unless
real.
you're there, it's real.
It's real.
And then you get out of the Marines and then you get introduced into this freaking skid steer where you're contemplating life and you're like, what the heck am I doing? This isn't for me. And then you get introduced again by beautiful, influential people in your life who see something in you to go build your own businesses. And you go and do that and you build your big businesses. You truly have lived multi-different lifestyles and personalities and figuring it out. I want to know, because I know it's different for everybody, there's probably a moment when you're sitting on the skid steer that you've thought about, or maybe not even on the skid steer, but somewhere in your life where you're like, I could never, and we know why, right? You know, you don't like to be told no. You have this euthromania about you where you want to continue to travel and you want to explore, and this is you, this is who you are. But there's probably a moment when you're sitting on a skid steer, maybe you were in the war, where you're just like, I could never not have everything I want, or whatever. There was a breaking point, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. What was that thought? I want to know.
That changed for me from which part?
Any part in your life through all of it where you were sitting in the shit, whether it was in Afghanistan or whether it was on a skid steer or whether it was when you were 19 and your parents are telling you no and you're like, screw you, I'm gonna go get tattoos and kill some guy with a crowbar or whatever, right? Right.
I didn't kill him, or I wouldn't be here.
There might be something in your head, or story, or something in your head that stuck out. I want to know what that is.
I think it was the perceived version of success that I had right when I built that house. That first house, when I was driving down the street and my neighbors were in their 60s and they're retired. And it scared me more that I could end up like them than being bankrupt.
I love it.
That's what scared me.
I
was honestly more fearful of like, I see how this is it. Like, because there's a lot of people that are alive and live a life, but
totally
it doesn't mean that they're really living their life.
So
that is what scared me more than anything.
I love it.
And that was a pivotal moment. It was weird. It's weird. I tell people this, I go, I've been super happy and had absolutely nothing and been completely broke and had the best jokes hanging out with the Marines.
Yeah, I totally
get
it.
Even just doing, even working construction, like not even to downgrade that. Like I've been so happy and having fun kicking it with the dudes that working, hard labor, digging a hole. And then I've had the most money in my account and I've been more stressed out than I've ever been in my entire life.
I love it. So two more simple questions so we can wrap this thing up. Through and through, out of your entire story, the emotional roller coasters of your entire life, do you truly believe that you are a comeback?
100%.
100%. So look into that camera right there. And I got to tell everybody, you got to say it with your chest. Look at that camera, tell everybody your name, and say, I'm a comeback.
I'm Austin Hancock, and I am a comeback.
Yeah. All right, and the second question, because I was going to ask you too, you got a boatload of tattoos. Do you have a favorite? They all look super sick to me.
I connected everything. It's
It
completely
looks sick.
connected now.
I'm like,
My favorite, I'll tell you what, this is good. You guys like this. My favorite one is the one I just got last, and that's my wife's name across my hand.
I love it.
And so I was against having my wife's name because I'm like, the stereotypical, this is it. This is
yeah,
it. Don't
sure.
do it, bro. Like, that's most people's first tattoo, and then they get divorced like 2 years later.
I've
I was
been
like,
there.
this is it. It happens, right? See, you hear it. Yeah, you're in the military, yeah. So I saw a lot of friends do the same shit. And so literally since we've been out here, I got that like 3 months ago. And so,
Super
I was
dope.
like, you know what? I guess 11 years in, 15 years of relationship, I'll fucking do it.
I'd like to meet her sometime, man. It'll be
Absolutely,
great.
we'll get together. We'll get the families
And the
together.
kids, too.
Yeah, you
We're
guys gotta
big-
come
we're big
south
on
or we'll come
kids.
up north. You guys aren't that far.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is the I Am a Comeback podcast, the Comeback Chronicles edition, a place where winners go to win, where you will never quit and you are relentless in the pursuit of having it all. Not just having it all, but being free. Because why? Comebacks never give up. The greatest gift, the greatest power, you possess the ability to choose. You choose to win or you choose to lose. At the end of the day, winners never quit and quitters never win.
We'll see you guys next week.